Salut tout le monde! Welcome back to Unintentionally Frenchified. This is a pretty cool video because it is the very first video that I am officially filming inside of our new place in Montreal. I will not be showing you guys around anytime soon because it's a complete disaster, but as soon as it's picked up a little bit and we have furniture, I will totally show you guys where I'm at. So Valentine's Day is just around the corner. So whether you celebrate it with a lover or you celebrate it with friends or maybe not at all because it's just a Hallmark holiday or maybe some chocolates and a movie and some ice cream, it seemed like the right moment to do a little love language breakdown video. The phrases that you might hear around Valentine's Day between the French and the Quebecois are not 100% the same. And there have been a couple of phrases, like lots of phrases, but a couple of specific Valentine's Day love phrases that I have heard recently that had me going like, say what? What does that mean? So I'm gonna jump into the 7 Quebecois phrases that I never knew before that you might just be hearing on overdrive around this Valentine's Day. This is the perfect time to subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. And otherwise, c'est parti! Okay, so my first word is very important to Valentine's Day, but could also be very important at any time during the year. So if you are living in France and you're gonna celebrate Valentine's Day and you're gonna go get something for a girlfriend, you're probably gonna say, like, I need to faire du shopping. Like, I need to go shopping. Je dois faire du shopping. And the French tend to keep the word shopping from the English, and they just kind of put like their French accent on it, like shopping instead of shopping. In Montreal, it is not the same thing. They actually use the word magasiner. So, je vais magasiner. Magasiner. I can't even say it. Je vais magasiner. So instead, I know this word, like I know magasin because we use this word for a shop in France all the time, but it's just the name of a shop. It's never transformed into a verb. And here it's transformed into a verb completely. So that's very, very different. And kind of a side note about this, I find it very interesting to see what words are translated into French and what aren't in Quebec. I completely understand that with the proximity to English, it's really important for them to preserve French and to really like over translate maybe things that French wouldn't translate. They just keep like shopping. But then there are certain words that they totally keep, you know, from, I heard someone say like, j'ai plugué, like I plugged something into the wall, j'ai plugué, and you don't say that in French. So it's interesting to see how the French tend to keep certain English words, but it's not the same English words that the Quebecois tend to keep. But in any case, when you want to do some shopping, magasiner is the word that I should be using now. Whether you want to magasiner for yourself or for someone else for this V-Day, think about Ana Louisa jewelry. I have been partnering with Ana Louisa for quite a long time right now. I love long-lasting jewelry that doesn't break the bank, and I also love how sustainable first they are. They are a carbon neutral, water neutral company, and they really make jewelry that shines without tarnishing the planet. I think that is a concept we can all get behind. So I'm wearing quite a few pieces in my ears from Ana Louisa, which I do all the time, to be honest. In my first holes, I have the Ariana. So I'm gonna get up close here so you guys can see. I love Ariana. I have a very good friend named Ariana. So these are the mini hoops, like mini huggies, and they're double hoops. They are sterling silver and then dipped in 14 karat gold. Like most of the like tiny little earrings, I love a good like tiny hoop. These are very light, easy to wear. I shouldn't be telling you this, but I do everything in them. I shower, I work out. I mean, I never take them out, and they always last super well. And these ones are $65. And you can see that I think they do a really good job stacking with everything too. In my second holes, you can see right here in the middle, I've got the Cassie, which is a fun little tiny hoop with a little sparkler over here that comes behind. And then in my third one over here, if you guys know, I just got these third one pierced a couple weeks ago. So I just have, or a couple months ago, not weeks ago. And I just have like the plain little huggies here in gold. I'm kind of a gold girl, as you can see. And then the final one I I've got here is I'm kind of topping it off with a little cuff. I really love the cuffs from Louisa because they don't fall off. It's like the absolute worst thing when you buy a cuff and then like the next day it's like already fallen off as you're walking around. This is not the case. They stay on really well. They're super light and I don't feel them. And this one is the Cyrus, so it's about $35 and it's got some cute little sparkles all over it and very easy to wear and easy to stack. So one of the great things about Louisa is they have a very limited amount of pieces, so it means that they don't waste anything and you've got a lot of new stuff all the time. The downside of that is if you like something, you really need to get it right away because you don't know how long they'll have it in stock. Because sometimes when they're out, they're really out for good. I put the personalized link in the YouTube description below, so go check that out. There is also a discount code and please go enjoy some jewelry that you will love today and tomorrow. Now, if you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, on this Valentine's Day in France, you either have a copain or a copine. But actually in Montreal, that is not how we would say that. You would actually call it either the chum or le blonde. And chum is for a copain, so a boyfriend, and le blonde would be for a girlfriend, and it's copine. And I actually heard this last week. I didn't hear chum, I heard le blonde, and there was someone who was talking about their girlfriend and kept using the word le blonde. And this, at least in the context of what he was saying, I understood that he was talking about like his serious partner that he lived with, but I figured he was referring to her as the blonde because she had blonde hair, and actually absolutely not. She does not have blonde hair, and it really is the word that they use for girlfriend. So if you don't have a romantic somebody and you're going out on Valentine's Day, you might want to chat somebody up in a bar. And in this case, what you would say in Montreal or in French-speaking Canada is je vais chanter la pomme, which translates directly to I'm going to sing the apple. So this is a lot harder one than say le blonde, because in the context of the story, it's much harder to like understand what someone's saying if you don't know this phrase. And in French, I couldn't find like an equivalent phrase. I feel like the French tend to say like pécho, like that's what I would hear a lot when someone's gonna try to go chat somebody up. But usually I feel like pécho would then mean in France that you actually like kissed them. Whereas chanter la pomme really is like, I'm gonna go like up and like chat up this guy. I don't think it necessarily, at least my understanding is it doesn't necessarily mean that you've kissed them, but you're like flirting with them a bit more. So I don't know, you guys will let me know in the comments because I'm sure some of you are way more experts in the Montreal vocabulary in the French than I am, but that's kind of how I see the two things. I tried to look up where chanter la pomme came from. I can't find anything on the internet. So if you guys know, let us know in the comments below because this is definitely a really weird one. Now, if you are singing the apple with somebody and you get a little forward, you could tell them that they are bien chic. So if you wanted to say that they are really hot. In France, I used to hear when someone really wanted to say, no, like she is hot, I would have heard more like elle est bonne, like that. I mean, it's a bit vulgar, but like that's like how I would have heard it. Or most girls, if they like really, they'd be like, oh, il est vraiment beau, you know, and they would use more of like beau, like the beautiful word. And apparently not here, that is not how it's said. So it's more bien chic. It's pretty much spelled the same way as chic, you know, with the C, but instead of the C at the end, you have an X at the end. So I'm probably not pronouncing it right because we know that's not my forte, but you kind of can see where the word came from with the chic and then kind of transformed into a phrase that was a bit more like, not just chic, but like, woo, they are chic. So if all of that singing to the apple and sweet words eventually gets you somewhere, you might be kissing somebody at the end of this Valentine's Day. And in which case, in the English language, like we would say an open mouth kiss with tongue would be Frenching, you know, like a French kiss. Well, in French Canada, they say the same thing. So they change it into a verb. So French with an ER at the end. So Frenchy, which I think is so great because in France, they definitely don't do this. I would say, and the word kiss mainly is what they say, like s'embrasser, or, I mean, I already talked about pécho, but they definitely don't say like Francais or Frenchy. So this one is a very good like English proximity, and so just kind of changing it a little bit into the French. Now, maybe on Valentine's Day, you have just met the love of your life. It's probably not happening, but you never know. And in this case, you might be falling in love. Falling in love when I lived in France was a hard phrase for me to learn. It reminds me a lot of I miss you, because the way that you say I miss you in French is you actually say you miss me. And I always found that really hard. So when you say, you know, you're falling, I fell in love with someone, I always wanted to say je suis tombée en, like amour. with somebody. Like that was the literal translation in my head that I wanted to do. And in French, in France, you would say, je suis tombée amoureuse de quelqu'un. So there's not the en that I always wanted to put in there, and there's just a different way of saying it. And in French Canada, they actually do say, je suis tombée en amour. And it's like literally translating, I fell in love, which the French don't necessarily do. But I think this is so great because I make this mistake all the time. And so finally, one of my mistakes in France will just be exactly what I can say here. As quickly as we fall in love, we can fall out of love. And unfortunately, sometimes it is the end of those love stories. And in which case, you're dumping somebody or you're not with somebody anymore. And when I was living in France, the words that we used to use were more like quitter, like to leave someone, or séparation, like a separation. And apparently here in Quebec, we say more a dumper, which is exactly like to dump, you know, je vais dumper quelqu'un, I'm going to dump somebody. So it makes a lot of sense based on just how I used to say it in English. And I think this kind of goes back to what I said at the beginning. I find it so interesting here that how they preserve certain words, because it's very important with the proximity of the English to really push and keep speaking French. But then there's certain words that they take from the English language and certain words that they don't. And it's never, doesn't seem to be the same words as the French. So it's a lot of like, since I just arrived, kind of going back and forth in your head, because you want to start speaking the same vocabulary and using the same phrases, but it can be very different, on top of the fact that the accent's very different too. So when I go down to the south of the US versus, you know, the East Coast or versus the Midwest, I'm trying to get your ears used to the accent. Here it's like getting used to the accent and getting used to these new phrases. It's really interesting. All right, so this is the end of my Valentine's Day love language breakdown. I can't wait to hear in the comments what you guys think. What are your favorite phrases in Quebec versus in France? Everything that you can tell me in the comments, I will find you there. I hope you all have a wonderful Valentine's Day if you care about celebrating it. And if you don't, I hope you just don't have anything but just a normal, perfect day. Don't forget about Ana Louisa. I put everything in the YouTube description below so you can check out the personalized link and of course the discount code. And I will see everybody la semaine prochaine. Bisous!